Hi guys, I'm Mike.
I'm Ash.
And this is F1 Fanatics. So guys, welcome back to the latest instalment in our Driver Rivalries series, and it is a different one. Mostly we've compared drivers who have either competed each other, either that be a classic rivalry or a modern day rivalry, and we're going to now blend those into two and go two of the biggest name in Formula 1 history ever, and that is Michael Schumacher versus Lewis Hamilton. And these guys are so huge in Formula 1 that we decided to split this into two parts. And in this first part today, Ash, what are we going to be discussing?
We're going to be discussing records that are held by either Michael Schumacher or Lewis Hamilton within F1, and we're going to be discussing whether Hamilton could realistically take those records from Schumacher, or just discuss the records themselves and compare how the drivers got to achieving those records.
So guys, if you are new around here, don't forget you can subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification, and you can watch more videos just like this one. But we are now going to get started off, and there is only one place to start, and that is the big one, which is Driver World Championships. Now obviously Michael Schumacher is the current all-time record holder for this with 7. And how many does Lewis Hamilton have currently?
Currently has 5, but it does look as if he will be achieving his 6th one this season, so taking within 1 of Michael Schumacher's record.
So Ash, we'll start off with you. Do you think Lewis Hamilton can at least match or beat this record?
I'm going to say I think he can match it. I don't think he's got the opportunities in front of him to be able to actually beat the record. We discussed it beforehand, and I feel as if the rise of drivers such as Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen are actually very similar to the rise of Fernando Alonso when Michael Schumacher was coming towards the end of his career, and I feel they're the two drivers that are going to take championships away from Hamilton now.
And for me, I feel this year might be his last World Championship that he wins. He's a fantastic driver in that, but I think talking about those emerging drivers, and I just think Mercedes, they've had their run at the top, and throughout F1 history teams always fall, and I just feel next year is the season that Mercedes will be toppled and they'll lose the title. And if he doesn't do it next year, I think the chance will be lost with the young hungry ones going through. And I wouldn't necessarily rule out, I know Ashley would, Sebastian Vettel. He is a couple of years younger than Lewis Hamilton and hungry than ever, and if Ferrari were able to give him a car, he certainly would be. I reckon there's just too many hungry drivers there in competitive cars that might make things a little bit difficult. Plus 2021 is an absolute kind of guess in the dark really of what's going to happen.
Yeah, and adding to that, I would say the one thing, when you look through Lewis Hamilton's career, there are 2 seasons where it's a definite what if moment. So 2007, he realistically could have become the first rookie to win a Formula 1 Drivers' Championship had it not been for a very bad run of results at the end of the season. And 2016 was Nico Rosberg's season, wasn't it?
It was.
Really, he had the car to win there, and it was only the second time that a teammate had finished with higher points in a season than Lewis in his time in F1. Prizes if you can tell me who the first one was.
Jenson Button.
It was. Prize for you. Don't know what it'll be, but
I got a prize, guys! I got a prize!
And the next one to look at is going to be race wins across their careers. So, Michael.
Michael, that is
Michael,
funny enough.
didn't think of that.
Which one? That one, yes, obviously. 91 race wins. He is the all-time record holder in this one as well. And this is going to be a really interesting one. I think it could come close to the wire. Lewis Hamilton has the ability, but as you've seen in terms of from Hockenheim onwards, it has been a real changeable grid, and if they are able to manage to get those cars closer, it will take a number of seasons, and it just depends how long Lewis will stay in Formula One and how long he'll stay. Well, as long as Lewis Hamilton has a seat in Formula One, I think he'll have a top seat. So he'll always have the ability to do it. It's just, yeah, can he clinch those? This is a close one, but I do think Lewis Hamilton might beat him on this record.
So Lewis Hamilton currently has 82 race wins in Formula One, and that is before Suzuka. Must specify that one so that people are aware. I think this one is definitely going to end up being Lewis Hamilton's record. When you look at it, it's 9 race wins that he needs to get. He is already contracted for next season with Mercedes. That car isn't going to drop off enough to turn around and say it's not going to be challenging for race wins. So with the extended calendars, I think it is one where Hamilton will get that, because he has already said that he has that desire to continue racing after next season, and the whole time he is in an F1 car, I would say there is a potential for him having race wins. So this one, I feel it's a matter of when he gets the record.
Next one up is Grand Prix podiums in their careers, and this is another close one. It is 155 to 146 for Lewis Hamilton. What are your thoughts on him being able to beat this record, Ash?
I think this one will fall potentially, well, actually not potentially, this one will fall next season. Mercedes are going to be challenging for podiums next season, even if their car is not as fast as the Ferrari. And out of the two drivers at Mercedes, I would say Hamilton is the most likely to be achieving those podiums. So once again, this is another record that is a when and not an if, and it is an amazing achievement with what Schumacher got. Just think Hamilton's going to have the edge on that one.
I completely agree. I think probably worth noting is he's had more race entries to do it with how F1's developed over time, but it's still a fantastic achievement by Lewis Hamilton. And yeah, I'm in complete agreement with Ash on this one, in that it is a matter of when he will do it rather than if. Definitely a record he will beat.
So this one is actually a record that is held by Lewis Hamilton, and that is the number of pole positions across their career. Hamilton currently has 87 poles and Michael Schumacher has
68 poles.
Now, there's no denying that Hamilton on 1 lap pace is incredibly fast and is going to extend his record here. It's about how many he could get. Now, I think 100 is achievable for him, being the first driver to get there. However, I think we both agree that there is potentially 2 people on the grid that can definitely stop that run.
Yeah, obviously this is a fantastic one, and was the first kind of major one really for Lewis Hamilton to tick off on the list. 100 may be difficult just because of the emergence of Charles Leclerc and how good he is being on a Saturday, and there is enough performances in between. I think if it was just Max Verstappen, who was the upcoming star, I think on a Sunday Max Verstappen is a lot better and hasn't really been in a car that achieves pole too much. I mean, only securing his first career pole this year, but Charles Leclerc is proving a very, very good driver on a Saturday, and may make it slightly difficult to get those last 13. But again, with this one, it is heavily reliant on how long Lewis wants to stay within the sport. But yeah, I think
it's a potential. He may. I think he may be able to get there, but I don't think he'll get much further than it if he gets there.
First one, he proves where he was better than. He was a better Saturday performer than Schumacher.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that one.
And next up we have fastest laps, and this is probably the first record that we agree that I don't think Lewis Hamilton is going to get anywhere near, especially because of the point now being awarded for the fastest lap. So people are putting more emphasis on it. If they're not challenging for the win, they might pit and then obviously try and gain the extra point that way. So Michael Schumacher has 77.
And Lewis Hamilton currently has 45. And as Michael said, really Lewis Hamilton is more of a do what you need to win. He's not been, until this season, I don't think he's necessarily focused on getting fastest laps. I know that Sebastian Vettel is a driver that has always been interested in trying to get that. But it's that emergence of being able to get an extra point for having fastest lap, and we've seen it throughout the season. It's mainly been drivers that have been in that 4th to 6th really for the fastest 3 teams. If they've got the gap behind them, they're pitting again. So I don't think in terms of the record Hamilton's going to get anywhere near.
I mean, at this stage he's already 32 fastest laps behind. So even with the emergence of the point, it would just he would have to, between now and the end of his career, pretty much be securing a fastest lap every race to do that, and that's realistically not going to happen. I think this is just one that within a race and on a Sunday, Schumacher just blows Hamilton out the water in.
Definitely. And the next couple of ones that we're looking at are ones where they're tied at this moment in time, and we're looking at whether Lewis Hamilton can actually take that step up. So the first one we're going to look at is the most podiums in a single season. Now the record at the moment between the two is 17, but Hamilton currently is on 13 podiums for this season, and with 5 races left there is the potential that he could beat the record.
Because remember, this is out before Suzuka, so Suzuka, actually by the time this video comes out, this record could be decided whether it is still alive or not still alive.
Do you think he's going to get podium every single race for the rest of the season?
I think he's got a real possibility of doing this one. I'm not entirely sure whether this is a hungry one that motivates him, but I think what will be motivating him is the fact that he will just want to consistently, relentlessly score points and carry that momentum into the 2020 season, because it's in touching distance, that 7th World Championship. So for him personally, he will be wanting to carry the momentum, especially as he's seen how the young stars have performed this season.
Now, I'm quite clearly been advocating Hamilton in this video. I don't think he's going to do it this season. He's got the possibility of doing it. I just feel he usually has that end of season dip once he's secured a championship. I think, wasn't it last season was the first season he won a race after securing a championship?
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
So he does have that dip, and if mathematically he wins it in Mexico, where he could theoretically do it, I think there's the opportunity where it will just drop away and he may not do it, but not because he hasn't got the hunger to achieve it, more the fact it's been a long season and he's achieved what he wanted by getting the World Championship.
And probably exhausted.
Exactly.
And the next one that they are tied on is career Grand Slams. And to confirm what a Grand Slam is in this, is it is pole position, fastest lap in the race, winning the race, and leading every single lap of that race. So it's a magnificent achievement just to get one of these, but they both have 5 apiece in this. And
it's not actually the F1 record though, is it?
No, the F1 record is Jim Clark.
Yes.
So going back to the 1960s with Jim Clark, he was a fantastic performer, and obviously one of those in that tragic era that was taken too soon from us. It was tragic, wasn't it, in a Formula 2 race, not even competing at the top. He was just, back in those days, Jim Clark was like, if it had wheels and a steering wheel, he was going to jump in it and start racing. But yeah, this is a fantastic opportunity. I don't know with this one. I think with how competitive the grid is, I think they're just going to stay matched 5 and 5.
Yeah, I would agree on that. One, the emergence of Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen in terms of fastest laps, they're two that are always going to be close to. But I would also say, because now at the moment, mainly because of the tyre situation and race strategy coming into things a little bit more, I think the opportunity to lead every single lap in a race isn't there as much, unless you're...
2021 could be the only thing that makes it interesting in terms of what they do with the tyres, because they're obviously drifting away from the high deg and going into the more low degradation.
Yeah, and that would be something that would then open this up to being possible. But I just feel that because of how competitive the front 3 teams are in particular, I just don't see there being consistently drivers leading every single lap, start to finish. just not there.
It's just going to be a magnificent achievement that they have to share this one.
And neither of them will match the 8 of Jim Clark. So
exactly.
And now we're looking at most race wins at a single Grand Prix. Now this is one where Michael Schumacher has the record currently with 8 at the French Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton has got 7 race wins at both the Canadian and the Hungarian Grand Prix. So for me, I feel this is one where he will match it because he's got at least 2 more attempts to match it next season. But once again, he's got that desire to stay in F1, and he is always going to be in a car that is there or thereabouts and challenging for race wins. And they are 2 circuits that he really succeeds at. So I can see him beating this record. It's just, does he continue?
Yeah, the interesting one for me is, I think Canada will be harder because that Ferrari power unit has really upgraded and it does suit Canada more. And obviously, Vettel did lead the race and finished across the line first, and without that mistaken 5-second penalty, Lewis still might have been able to do it, but I feel like Ferrari are improving and getting better, and if they are going to still be dominant at these kind of more low downforce circuits, I think Canada would be harder to score than Hungary, and Hungary all is reliant on what Red Bull's development is like at that stage of season. So I think he can definitely match it, and it'll be very interesting to see whether he could beat it. I'm going to say he's going to match it and leave it there. Now we move on to Grand Prix wins in consecutive seasons, and Michael Schumacher has got a win in 15 consecutive seasons, and Lewis Hamilton is currently on 13, and so he will definitely get one next year, I imagine, barring an absolute disastrous downturn of form with Mercedes. 14. 2021 is the real kind of confusing one. You don't really know, like I've said, it's with how Mercedes are going to be. I feel they're going to drop off the top perch naturally, as teams tend to. In the history of Formula 1, it is really difficult to keep maintaining and keep winning over and over again. I don't know how much of an impact the budget cap will do, but I imagine it might still narrow the gap, because obviously Mercedes have seen a massive uptake in their sports cars since they've been successful, so the success of their F1 team is paramount to them. But, what I'm going to say he's not going to beat it. I'm going to say he's going to end on 15.
I think he will definitely match it, because Lewis Hamilton is currently the only driver to have got a race win in every season that he has been in F1, and even in cars where they shouldn't necessarily be winning. So final couple of seasons with McLaren and first 2 seasons with Mercedes.
Yep.
Was it 2 seasons before the hybrid era that he was with them?
It was 1 season, I think 2013.
Yeah, so even the first season at Mercedes, the car wasn't really in a position to get a race win. However, Hamilton, being a driver of that level, was able to. So next season, definitely see him getting at least 1 race win, getting to 14. And even if Mercedes do have a slight downturn after the rule change in 2021, I wouldn't rule Hamilton out of getting race wins. So it's once again another record we're looking at, where I'm looking at the view, he's got the potential to beat it. It's how long he continues his career in Formula 1. And the final one that we're going to be looking at is Grand Prix hat-tricks. So to clarify, that is the race win, the fastest lap and pole position at a Grand Prix weekend. Schumacher currently has the record with 22, and Hamilton is currently on 14. Now, I don't think Hamilton's going to get near to this one. It's very similar. It's very much the same as Grand Slams, because of the emergence of Charles Leclerc in particular with regards to fastest laps, and also being given that extra point. People are taking fastest laps more seriously, and it is something now where people are going out with the aim of achieving it. I don't think Hamilton is going to have enough opportunities to be getting, what would he need? I haven't done the maths. 8 to match? Yeah,
8 to match.
8 to match, 9 to beat it. I don't see him being able to achieve that one. That is one record where Schumacher, once again, shows his out and out race pace was immense.
And I completely agree. I think with the same as the fastest laps on its outright, it's just too much of a gap for Hamilton to get. If you said this was Hamilton at age 30, you could go make a much more of a case for him to somehow find a way. But being at 34, he is coming into the tail end of his career with the emergence of the new talent. I just think this one will be one that is out of reach of him. And that, guys, rounds up the first part of our driver rivalries between Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton. Now, part 2 will be coming out to you tomorrow, so that is the Sunday at our usual time of 5 PM, so make sure you tune in to watch that, and that will follow more our kind of traditional driver rivalries one, where then it gets more me and Ash's opinions of things, and obviously we will include some of these stats, comparing them head to head there.
Yeah, guys, make sure to press the subscribe button so that you are getting our videos going into your YouTube inbox. Press the bell icon to get a notification of when the videos are going live, and you'll be able to see more F1 Rivalries videos.
And guys, make sure you comment below. Do you agree with us in terms of the ones that he can beat? Obviously, you saw me. I saw a lot of them were same match, and that just shows how close things were between these two exceptional, talented drivers. But yeah, it would be great to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, guys, and make sure you do tune in tomorrow to see the conclusion of this driver rivalries of who's better, Michael Schumacher versus Lewis Hamilton. But for now, guys, you F1 fans, keep racing!